And a lot of the clients pay me in crypto. It's like crypto income, the same as mining. So I like it.
Crypto passive income at scale.
Yeah. It's not very passive. It's not very passive anymore.
If you're a home miner, you want to build a mining rig today, what cards should you be looking at?
I really like the 3070s. I think that the cost is low and they return the most money for that. That's what I like. I buy all my cards used. They're cheaper and they mine the same as a new card.
But it almost sounds like it's a crypto mining hedge fund or something.
Yeah.
Is that kind of analogous?
Yeah, that's basically what it is. I think a lot of things are going to do good. Just because I don't own it doesn't mean it's not going to do good. I always steer people away from the meme coins though. In 2021, that was the thing. What do you think about Shiba Inu? Don't buy it. That's what I told everybody. But it pumped up crazy and memes are like crazy now. So it's like gambling.
Those crazy stories are like 1% of 1% of what actually happens, and most people get wrecked.
You never make a lot of money. By the time you hear about it, you're not going to make the 1,000% gain. You know, you can make a 10, 20%.
What does your top 5 in your portfolio look like? What are the other positions you're holding?
So I'm not speculating a whole lot. I actually only own like 5 cryptos. So like this is going to be like my entire portfolio.
This is rare for a miner. Most miners in like 70 things. Hello and welcome to the Andy and Friends podcast. I'm your friend Andy, and in this episode of the podcast, I talk to DeFi Django. We talk all about his GPU mining hosting business, the ins and outs of how he started that, how he picks projects to actually mine, the strategy around the mining itself. We talk about how he got his start in the world of crypto and the early mistakes he made and the lessons he's learned from those. But we also talk much more broadly about the crypto space, how to make money, where to find opportunities, and a whole bunch of other stuff you do not want to miss, especially if you've ever thought about getting into crypto mining. So let's jump into this one. And here we are on the podcast with DeFi Django. The D is silent. How you doing? Welcome to the podcast.
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
So you have a really interesting story. We were talking about this last night at dinner. We're here at Mining Disrupt, and I want to go through a lot of that stuff. But first, maybe like, give me some scope here. Give me what does the operation look like today? The mining operation.
So I have my own facility down in Arizona, old decommissioned data center, and I got about 0.5 megawatt there of GPUs. So it's pretty big for the small person, but pretty small for a large scale operation. And then I have a bunch of stuff over at Virginia, over at the Coastal Cryptos facility, kind of doing a JV with them right now. But that's what I got. I got about 1 megawatt over there. So 1.5 total.
And this is all GPUs?
I have very few ASICs. I do host a couple of ASICs at the Virginia facility. It's like 10. So it's almost all GPUs. It's about 5,000 GPUs total.
Okay, 5,000 GPUs. And what are they? What's the makeup of GPUs?
So they're almost all half of them are probably 170HX cards, and the other half are 30 series cards, mostly 3070s. Very few. There's a couple 3080s in there and a couple 3060s, but I would say like 95% are 3070s.
And any dabbling in the 4090s and AI world or any of that?
I haven't done anything like that yet. I want to get into more AI stuff. A lot of my stuff isn't set up for that. And I've been really focused on trying to grow the business and get a bit bigger building before I jump into anything new.
Yeah. So okay. So 5,000 GPUs. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
How many of those are your own that you're mining on versus like clients that you're hosting? Give me that breakdown.
So me personally, I own like 200 to 300 cards. I don't even know. I lost count. I buy them all the time. And so I probably right in that range, and then the rest is all hosted clients. And a lot of the rigs I built myself, excluding the servers. If you watch my channel, I have a bunch of servers. I didn't build those ones, but everything else you see are clients that I got, and I built the rigs for them.
Most of what I've seen on your channel is, well, I guess at least what I've seen you buy big waves of are like the almost server side, but the enclosure type.
Yeah, those are all mine that I bought. I buy stuff. Whenever I find good deals, I try and because I know that hardware's cheap right now, so I want to stack up on it, whether I use it right now or not.
And what percentage are like the enclosures like that versus open air rigs?
So I have about 200 open air rigs, and then I have a bunch in enclosures, probably 60 to 80 in enclosed rigs, and then I have like 300 10-card servers. I didn't build any of the servers, but yeah, all the regular enclosures are ones I set up.
What do you do mostly for clients these days?
Just a little bit of everything, but a lot of hosting. That's primarily my business, hosting.
Yep.
So go find clients, sell them. I do some sales for the rigs, and then yeah, just host them at a rate and manage them. I do. I I try and take care of my clients because a lot of them like come and ask me like, oh, what's this and this, and I say, oh, well, this is what I would do. You can do what you want. So a lot of them come after me for that financial advice I can't give. So
So okay, so not everybody who's in crypto wants to like host other people's rigs because it's kind of complications that go on.
yeah.
With maybe you can tell me some of them. Why did you decide to do this as a business?
So it's the easiest way for me to make money and scale because I want all the money I make from hosting I can use to buy my own cards and rigs. And so because at the beginning I didn't have a lot, I I put all my money in. I had a certain amount of rigs, but I'm like, how can I get more? Oh, I'll just host. I can get power, and so if I just host it, then I get paid. And a lot of the clients pay me in crypto, so it's like it's like crypto income, the same as mining. So I like it.
Crypto passive income at scale.
Yeah. It's not very passive. It's not very passive anymore. But yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I was like, not a lot of people want to get into this because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, because ASICs are finicky by themselves and they have issues and hash boards and whatever. But GPU rigs, I imagine, even more so, maybe.
Yeah, they can be a little finicky. When I first bought them, I had them running like really good when I first built them. But yeah, not lately, since we've gone through a few heat waves in the summer, they're a little bit more finicky now. But yeah, that's just part of it.
So, okay, I wanted to kind of give a snapshot of what's going on right now, and I'll dig into all that stuff in more detail, but let's rewind. When did you first get into crypto, and like what sparked the interest?
Yeah, so I first got into crypto in 2017, right after, well, I first heard about Bitcoin in 2014, and I was doing a little bit of research, didn't do a whole lot. I found this cloud mining thing. I bought it, put $100 in. I said I made a ton of money, tried to withdraw it, couldn't withdraw it. It was a scam. And then that's when I associated, oh, Bitcoin's a scam, blah, blah, blah. And so I didn't touch it again until 2017.
Wait, in 2014 though, where did you first hear about Bitcoin? Why did you think I'm going to do?
Well, my a relative told me, he's like, oh, you should check out this cloud mining thing. And that's what I didn't know anything about it. I heard about it.
Yeah.
And so that's when I got into it. I didn't do any research into it. I was like, whatever, I don't really care. But in the 2017, when Bitcoin hit $20,000, that blew my mind. And I was like, okay, you can make some money with this.
Yep.
And so that's when I started doing my research and, learned all about Bitcoin and crypto. And then I wanted to get into mining because it's a little hard to wrap your head around owning a digital asset at first. Cause I've always done like sales. I do a lot of reselling. And so I figured, oh, I'll just buy some mining rigs. If it doesn't work out or I don't like it, I can just sell them. So that's why I got into mining. Then I went on Craigslist and I found 6 Bitcoin miners and I bought them for $300.
What were they?
The CoinDad had one out there. They're the Bitcrane T110s, very rare. I wish I could have kept them because they're probably worth more than I paid for them now. But yeah, they did 1 terahash.
Wow.
Yeah, 6 of them. So I had 6 total terahash. I had a office space at the time. It was like 3,000 square foot warehouse that I used. I lived out of it and I did like eBay sales. I had an eBay store. And so I had free power there. And so I just plugged those in, saw the 10 cents a day rolling in. And I was like, okay, I proved the concept. It works. You can make money with it. Now, how do I make more money with it? So that's how I got into it. And then from there, I went online, researched GPUs, built my first GPU. I had never built a computer before. So my first PC build was a GPU rig. And yeah, it was very difficult. That's what I do. I like doing my own research. I like learning as I go. I built it out, and then I never stopped.
It's usually the reverse. It's usually people who've they're computer enthusiasts and they dabble in like building their own computer and like, oh, this whole mining thing isn't that, or they even just run nice hash on their gaming computer, and then they like, oh, I can do more cards. What does that look like? And it's not that far of a stretch, but your first ever PC build.
Yeah, it took me like 4 days because I built it all together, but then, no display, and then I had to figure it out. I had to go on YouTube and I found like some Red Panda mining videos and, back in the day, enable 4G encoding and do all this stuff. So I had to figure all that out.
enable 4G encode. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff like that. Didn't have like mining motherboards and stuff, so I just had to figure it out, and I did it. So
what were the cards in that first rig you
so
built?
570s, I think they were 8 gig cards. Yeah,
Yeah, AMD. Okay, yeah, classic AMD 570, 580. People are still mining on
yeah. I can't
580s.
believe people still mine on those. I got rid of mine a long time ago.
So if you were gonna, if you're buying if you're a home miner and you're buying you want to build a mining rig today, what cards should you be looking at?
I really like the 3070s. I think that they are the best. Like the cost is low, and they return the most money for that. That's what I like. I think that maybe the 50 series when they come out, they're not out yet. That might be better, but they're not out yet. I wouldn't, unless you're going to be doing like some high end computing. I would just stick with 3070s. That's what pretty much everything is in my farm.
And if you're just like a home miner person, um, I'm assuming you know these contacts. You have like people you've met in the industry now. You can like, oh, I'm going to buy 300 GPUs from you or this person or whatever. But for the average person at home who doesn't have access to that and know how to do that, should they buy these on eBay? Should they buy them brand new? Like, how should they acquire them?
I would buy them on eBay. In fact, I've bought almost everything I have on eBay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I buy all my cards used. They're cheaper and they mine the same as a new card.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I've been doing business on eBay a long time, since I was 15 years old. So 15 years now. I know the ins and outs of the entire software. Like I know how everything works. So I'm really comfortable. Like if something breaks, I can return it. I know how to do all that. So they make it very easy to do that. So I was never worried. And
So I personally think this is a bit of a myth, but you've done mining at much greater scale than me, so I'm curious what you think. But people are always like, oh, I don't want to, I don't want to buy used GPUs or whatever that you've already been mined on, they've already been used, like they're not going to be as good. And in my mind, every used GPU I've ever bought, I mean, maybe there's like a couple flukes in there where they failed or whatever, but mostly it's like they work just like brand new, and so there's no reason like for mining.
Yeah, exactly. They're out of like my three. So I have like 5,000 cards now, but out of like the 2,000 3070 cards, I probably have like less than 10 that have broken. So it's like they work great. You know, a fan goes out here and then you can swap that out. That's not a big deal. But like total dead cards, like 10.
So
not a lot.
What are the secrets to buying GPUs on eBay? Like what are the things you look for, or what are the things you do to make sure you're getting a good deal or at least a good card, or what?
I just look, I just usually, search up 3070, sort of by the cheapest price, buy it now, and then I would get a good brand. I bought them all, so I know, not like there's one better than the other, but I mean, there is though.
What's the best one?
I really like the MSI cards. I like the EVGA cards too. They don't
rest in peace, yeah. EVGA.
Yeah, they work really good. Asus makes good cards too. There's a lot of good ones. The worst one is the Zotac ones, but they still work though. I still have a bunch of Zotacs running because when I was buying a lot of these cards, it was like in 2021, so it's like whatever you could buy. So I was buying Zotacs, but yeah, now you have a choice. So
why? What makes them the worst ones to get?
So like the chip works. It's just they have a weird design. It doesn't really fit on the rigs very good. The fans go out very frequently on those ones. They got like bad bearings. So it's like the chip works. It's the same chip. It's just the housing don't like it. Yeah.
Everything they've wrapped around it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. I want to take a detour here for a second. At 15 years old, you're like flipping stuff on eBay. What were you doing at 15?
So yeah, I would go to like garage sales, or I would go like in dumpsters and find stuff for sale. There's a Family Dollar dumpster where they would throw like brand new merchandise away, fish it out, and I would sell it like on Craigslist or eBay. Doing anything I can to make some money when I was growing up, because I didn't have jobs in high school. So, and I probably that year, like sophomore year in high school, I probably made like $3,000 on eBay. So that was a lot of money for a 15-year-old. I blew a lot. I didn't become smart until I was like 25.
But why? Okay, where did you see that, or what inspired you? Because I mean, I've talked to lots of people who've done like get stuff for free. Craigslist, get stuff for free.
Yeah.
Go to the free section. Go to Goodwill. These different resale shops, whatever, or do the dumpster dive kind of a thing, and then clean it up or whatever. If it's brand new and untouched, flip it. Where did you see that? Why did you do that as a side hustle?
I was just always wanting to make lots of money. Like I was just trying to figure out the best way to do it. We didn't really have a computer at my house, so it's like we got a computer when I was like 15. And that's when I was just, we play games and stuff on there. But then I was like looking at eBay. I bought a couple stuff on eBay, and then I was like, you can sell stuff on here. So then I was just trying to find stuff to sell. I even went like out to they sell in Utah where I live. They sell this, or there's this plant that grows wild called Brigham's tea, and so I would actually like harvest it because it's like a wild weed out there, but people make tea out of it. And so I would get like 5 pounds of it and I would sell it for like $30. And so it's like I was getting anything that I could sell online. So yeah, I was crazy because I had like all the tools. Like I was just naturally gifted that way, but I didn't know how to hone everything because I didn't know like buying assets, buy this, because I spent like the first, my early 20s, I just would buy random stuff that would not appreciate. And then all of a sudden I read, like my parents don't teach me anything. They're not rich. They don't have any money. I have more money than all my whole family combined now. But I just read the Rich Dad Poor Dad one day, and then like my mind just like this like instant switch. Like that, the moment I read that, my mind was like, oh, this is how you do it. And it was from there, it was like the pivotal moment. I was like, all of a sudden my net worth started skyrocketing.
Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad is one of those classics, and there's people who just rail on it and rip on it and hate it. And I'm not like a big Robert Kiyosaki fan, but I can't deny I've talked to so many people. I mean, I read it myself, and it opened my eyes in certain ways. I've talked to so many people who read that book, and I think it doesn't really matter whether everything is factual. The stories really happened or what. But if you're able to take something constructive out of it, like that's
it would have been the same because I've read other books too. Like Richest Man in Babylon. There's like Think and Grow Rich. They all teach like the same principles, but I just happened to read that book first, and so that's the one that clicked for me because I'd read it first. So I don't know if I read another book and it didn't work. I wouldn't know. So
yeah, my first one was I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi.
Yeah,
and that's the one I think I'd read other things too, but that's the first one I read and it just clicked. And I'm guessing that's kind of what happened with you. So at 15, you said you just wanted to make a lot of money, as much money as possible.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. The idea of getting a job and working a career seemed really, really boring to me because I'm the type of person that just wants to experience everything. Like I wouldn't mind working a job, but then I would want to switch careers like 2 years in because I'm like, oh, I've already done everything here. I want to do this. I want to do this. So I couldn't think of anything I wanted to do. I just wanted to do whatever I wanted. And the only way to seem to do that is if you have money, generate some income. So that's really where it came from. And so now I can do whatever I want. I want to travel. I want to do this. So I like doing stuff. I'm not afraid of doing work. I like doing all my own work. I just like the experiences.
Yeah, I've tweeted, and I don't know, I probably stole this from somebody, but I've tweeted this a bunch of times in various forms. But it's like I'm not obsessed with money. I'm obsessed with the options and the freedom that money buys, the independence.
Yeah, exactly.
And I talked to lots of people, some who work 9-to-5 jobs and stuff, and others who've gone the more entrepreneurial path. And I have nothing against like the 9-to-5 world, but if you have any of that like inkling, if you have any of that feeling inside you, like that sounds boring, or I don't want to give my entire life to someone else's vision for what a company could be or whatever, and where you have to ask permission to take off for vacation and things like that. If you have any feeling of that and you don't try the alternative, it's like you've only got one life.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I always try and convince people to, but no one's built like me. So I would like lose my mind at a job. I've worked a couple jobs, and I think I've been fired from almost every single one because I try and I just do things my own way. I don't like to answer because I can do it better than they can. But they want me to follow like their protocols, and I'm like, I don't do it. I do it my way and more productive. But yeah, they don't like that. So I think I've been fired from almost every single job I've had. So,
okay. So the flip side of that is you're doing your own thing, which obviously you are, and you're finding success, which is awesome. I love seeing people win. But this life is also not easy for different reasons. Yeah. So what are maybe some of the, like the challenges you've experienced so far that maybe you weren't expecting going this route?
So it's hard to, this business is, the hardest part about this business is the Bitcoin cycle. The whole market is cyclical.
Yep.
And so, the people don't want to pay for hosting, or people like even on YouTube, there's like less views, less interest. You can't even talk to people about it because they don't care.
My views chart looks just like the Bitcoin chart.
Yeah, exactly. Just straight down. So that's the hardest part about it, is that it's hard to have steady growth. You have to prepare for the worst. That's what because I got into it after Bitcoin had already peaked last cycle. 2017, Bitcoin hits 20,000, comes down to like 10, 12. And that's when I was mining, and it went down all the way down to 3,000 during the COVID crash. But it was always lower. I was born in the bear market, so I knew exactly I knew what profits were. And I was like, I had a really strong conviction on Bitcoin. And I'm like, even when it was down to 3,000, I saw that things were low and everyone was freaking out. And I was like, that was the only time I was like, oh, well, maybe I was wrong. But it bounced back so quickly. Yeah, that was the only time. But then because I never saw I basically hodled it down from 12K to 3K. And so that's what, but I hung in there. And since I went through that, and then 2021 was my first bull run, and it was crazy. I was like, that's honestly how I got wrecked, is because 2021, I wasn't expecting all this growth and all this. Made a lot of mistakes, but yeah, my biggest win though was that I got a building, and I negotiated a lease to where, because I knew that this wasn't going to last. I knew the Ethereum merge was going to come, or if it didn't come, profits are going to go way lower. And so I knew that if I didn't prepare for that, then I would go out of business. So that's what I prepared for. And a lot of other people went under. A lot of people that weren't experienced, they went under, but that's just what happened. It was extremely hard this cycle because Ethereum did the merge. It was way harder than last cycle, I think, but I was ready for it.
I started mining in 2014, and then I kind of lost. I got away from it, and then into 2016, beginning of 2017, I kind of found it all again. And then as we got closer to that bull run in 2017, I was like, oh shit, what's happening?
Yeah, it was crazy.
And that's when I really drank the Kool-Aid, and I totally got wrecked in 2018. Did learn a lot of hard lessons. But as I watched Bitcoin go from 20 to 12 to 10 to 8, and then I remember watching it go from 12 to 6,500 in an hour.
Yeah.
Huge drop at one point. And then I watched it go all the way to 3,800, whatever the low, 3,600, whatever the low was. Every time it dropped, because I had that kind of conviction ahead of time. Yeah, I was like, is this going to keep going? But I was also like, these are opportunities.
Yeah.
So every time it dropped, I'm like, I got to buy this while it's this cheap, because in my brain, maybe it was me being naive and stupid, I don't know, but I was convinced that these were opportunities. Sounds like you had some of that going on too. What was it that gave you that conviction? Why did you have that belief?
I don't know. I feel like I did my research on Bitcoin. I watched a lot of YouTube videos on it, and I really liked it, but I part of it probably was like, I can't be wrong, because if I'm wrong, then I'm gonna lose all this money. So I was just like, I have to be right. It has to go up.
Yeah.
It's just waiting though, because of 2018 through 2020, you know what I mean?
It
was a lot of waiting. So the first 2 years were not bad, but the third year I was like, man, this is what am I doing? But I was tempted to sell my Bitcoin once or twice, but I decided not to. I'm really glad I didn't. Yeah, it was hot. I actually never cashed out. The first time I cashed out was in it was the end of 2021 or beginning of 2022. That was the first time I actually sold any crypto. So I held for a long time, 2018 all the way through.
During that period where obviously it sounds like we both learned some really tough lessons, what was one or two of the biggest ones that you learned and you kind of wish you had learned sooner?
I wish I would have bought more, like you said, the opportunities. I didn't learn that until 2021, 2022, because Bitcoin was dropping. I didn't buy more. I was just, because that was my first, my beginning. Just like how you say you started in 2014 and you didn't buy, you waited till later. That was me. I was buying Bitcoin during 2022 when it crashed down to 15,000. I'm like, I gotta buy this right now. But that's not really a mistake though. That just comes with experience. Some mistakes probably, I lost a lot of money because I bought some stuff from a guy in Hong Kong. Didn't deliver the stuff. So, but I feel like I take a lot of precautions, because I know I've been online doing sales and stuff, so I know the scams and stuff, but I don't know what happened. I don't think I got scammed. I think I got robbed. So, but yeah, that was a big mistake. Now I uh, I spend more money and do business with more. I didn't have contacts before. I was like, why? I was like, I don't know how do I go and get 2,000 GPUs directly from China? So I didn't have those contacts. Now I have import guys that I go to. So, but that's the mistake I made. It's just, I think there's a lot of people like that too. They were just trying to buy as much as they can, and they'll buy it. They need it now, right? 2021. Yeah, the money's here. Every day I'm losing money. So, yeah, now I have guys for that. So just part of building a network of contacts.
Yeah. You mentioned a couple times, like preparing for the worst, knowing it's cyclical, knowing that the rougher times are coming, and if doing what you can to prepare for that. From that business perspective, as someone who runs all these machines and hosts people, how do you prepare for those downturns?
It was I part of it is like luck, I think, because I lucked out on this building I have now, but I was specifically asked for like the lease because I wasn't just going to go rent a building that cost this much. And so when I got this building down in Arizona, which is 6 hours away from where I live, by the way,
Okay.
I got some. That was the only building I could find that was gonna work for this.
Hmm.
Because we were searching for a long time, so like looking for a building that's 2 hours away, 4 hours away. I found this building here, and I just negotiated a lease because when we first moving in, we didn't have a lot of machines, and I was like, hey, here's a crazy idea. What if instead of a traditional lease, we pay by the rig? And so we negotiated a lease that included power. So they knew we were mining, you're going to be mining in there, and they wanted us in there. And then we were like, oh, so the actual lease was $100 per rig, and that included the power. And so,
That's a great deal.
yeah, no, it is a really good deal. We did so like if we have like 10 rigs in there, our lease is $1,000 for this massive building. But then when we have 200 rigs in there, our rent's 20,000. So it's kind of it helped us grow.
Yep.
Help us to be able to grow without having and that's only when the rigs are on. So like that was the lease. And so like when the merge happened, we were able to shut off and we didn't have to pay any rent at all for that entire building for like 8 months. And then after 8 months, they kind of came to us and like, hey, this isn't really working. I was like, okay, let's renegotiate. And we renegotiated a better deal. And it's actually, I think it was a better deal for me. So now I just pay a flat rate. And I don't pay any power. It's included in the flat rate. So that was the whole reason that I structured like that, because I knew that the bear market was going to come. We're going to be making less money, and I wanted to be able to not have to pay like a huge like lease option be tied into that. So that's why.
So if this facility is 6 hours away from you, how often are you going to it, and how do you talk me through like how that works?
So yeah, basically what I do is I just drive there because the town I live in, they have an airport, but it's expensive to fly out of it because it's a small airport. So I usually just drive. And
Time for the private jet.
Yeah, I know, right? That's what I need. I just drive an hour, like 1 week there, 1 week off. So that's usually what I would do. Yeah, 1 week there, 1 week off. Sometimes I go down there for like 2 weeks and then come back for a week. So. And it's kind of I would have straight up moved there and lived in the warehouse, except I'm married and have a kid, and wife doesn't want to live in an old building yet, but yeah, that's why I did it. And I didn't want to like try and get an apartment down there because I always viewed the building as kind of temporary because I wanted something bigger. But I've been there for 3 years now, so it probably would have been better to move down there, but I'm not going to now at this point.
So, okay, and now let's go talk about the business again.
Yeah.
So walk me through how the business works. It's hosting, but like, what does that mean? Like, who are your clients? Like, how are you approaching people? All that stuff.
Yeah. So basically, the business started in 2021, and I knew there's a huge money operating. I see Bitcoin hit like 30,000. It was like 25 or 30,000 in January, and that's when I'm like, okay, this is an opportunity. There's gonna be a lot of people interested in this. How can I make money off this? And so basically I wanted to just get people into mining and make some money off it. So I could either build rigs and sell them, but that didn't seem like there's a lot, anybody can just build rigs. There's a lot of competition, right? So that was part of my thing, is like, I need to build these rigs, but I also need to be able to host them to make money, like a monthly revenue. And so that's what I decided to, that's how I started it. And so I met with this guy, a friend of mine, and I was like, hey, we should do this business together. And he's like, okay, I know someone we should talk to. We go talk to this guy, business owner, owns a real estate company, and we pitch him on like, oh, like here's these miners, how much they cost. You know, you can pay us to host them. We'll charge this. And I was planning originally just hosting him in my house because I could probably put about 10 8-card rigs in my house. He bought 13. So right off the bat, we didn't even have a building, and I'm like, sold. We'll do it for you. We'll deliver it in like within 3 weeks. We didn't even have a building, and so we did that, and then we had to find a building. We went into our local data center in town, and we negotiated a deal with them. That's actually also a kind of a crazy story, but we leased a space from them. We went. My friend knew the owners of it and was like, "Hey, look, we want to host all these mining rigs here." So we just started hosting it. They charged us a flat rate of 160, and so we were charging our clients 200. So just upmarking $40 for hosting them and managing them. And you know, at the time the rigs were making 1,000. You know, 1,000 a month. It was crazy. So like that made sense. I knew that wasn't gonna last. So that was just like, we need to do this until we can find our own building.
Yep.
So yeah, then we went from there, and we just went around to. I wanted to target people that were new to crypto, that didn't know anything about it, because the people that have knowledge in just go build themselves rigs, or you know, some there's no business there, there's no money to be made. So what we did is we went around to just all these businesses. We went to like car wash, we went to like a hair salon, you know, lawyers, all kinds of business. We go to networking events and meet with people and say, hey, look, you know, you buy this mining rig, it's actually a tax write-off for your business because it's a computer. You know, you can depreciate it like over 1 to 5 years, and then, you know, paying us the hosting fee is also a write-off. And you know, you get to mine all this crypto with it. And so it was actually really easy to sell, and they were also making a lot of money. So yeah, so it was really easy to sell, and we sold a ton. Like by the end of 2021, because it was the end of the tax year, we sold like we had our biggest sale. We sold this guy this huge order. He bought like 40 something rigs, and it was our biggest one ever. And he bought it like December 28th. So yeah, it was awesome. So that's how we get our clients.
So a lot of these, are you going like door to door? Is this cold calling? How are you approaching these people?
So it wasn't like there was no cold calling. We kind of just went to these businesses. We went to like networking events, and we would like kind of easy to find because there were business owners there, and we met. A lot of our contacts came through other people. So we meet this one guy. He's like, "Oh, I know the owner of this car wash. Let me introduce you."
Yep.
And then we would go talk to them. And then like, "Oh, the owner of the car wash knows this business." And so it's kind of crazy that because all of the clients that I host are like, they almost all know each other because they're all like in the same like network, and we're all in the same town. So
that gives you a lot of credibility too. Yeah, when we were talking last night about all this, my mind was blown a little bit because, you know, you're like car wash and salon and, you know, lawyer or whatever, people who are just normal people,
yeah,
not crypto people, and you've managed to onboard them into this space, which you say is like an easy sale, which I think is wild to hear that.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, I would never expect those people to be interested in this because, you know, most normal people who are not full-on crypto nerds like me, when I talking about crypto, they're like, it's a scam, and isn't that like fake money, and there's nothing to it. You're not in that, are you? You don't make money with that, right? Like, so what was different in this situation? How could you get past that?
I don't know. I have a background. I used to work at Best Buy before I did this, and I worked in the Geek Squad, which is, you know, talking to old people about computers. So I'm pretty good at it, onboarding, or just, you know, just kind of orange pilling and explaining it in terms I understand, just simplifying it down. I think that was it. It was also 2021 because people were just interested. It's a much harder sale now because, one, they don't make as much, and yeah, not as interested. And they'll be back once Bitcoin, you know, over 100,000. They'll buy at the high. That's just the market psychology.
This is like if you installed Norton antivirus in a computer, but it paid you instead of you paying them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah, your computer's not a virus, like exactly. So I thought it was easy because I basically told them like, listen, I build these computers. I didn't even explain, like, you know, you get paid in this crypto, and then you could sell it at any time, and it's real dollars, you know. So I try not to talk like crazy crypto talk to them. I was like, this is why you want Bitcoin. And at the time we were mining Ethereum, so I was like, you can stack up all this Ethereum, you can stack up all this Bitcoin. and that's all you need to know. That's so.
So do most of them with their GPU rigs, do they you mine whatever most profitable and then they get paid out in Bitcoin or Ethereum or stablecoin, or how's that part of the process work?
Yeah, so they kind of do whatever I just recommend. So they just want like, oh, whatever you think is best, that's what I want. And so I've been able to just kind of do whatever. At the beginning, they were just mining ETH, mining to their ETH wallets, and they could pay me in Ethereum, or they could pay me in, write me a check or pay me with a credit card, or whatever they wanted to do. Since the merge, it's been just like whatever they recommend. We mined a couple different things. I'm really like it's like such a huge pressure because I'm like, I can't recommend like these things. You know what I mean? It's risky, and I don't want you to. If I'm wrong, then it's like it's on you, not me. So we had a couple different things, but I had a lot of them mining Ergo at the beginning, and then I switched over to Caspa, which I at Caspa was at 1 cent. I wrote them all an email like, you should be mining the crap out of this and you should be selling it. So actually, a lot of my clients made a ton of money on that. Yeah, they made a killing because we were mining since like 1 cent, and so they made it pretty good. We went from like January to like, I think they got off of GPUs in like May or something, May, June. So we mined it for like 5 months.
I know you've said like not financial advice and you can't recommend certain things, but it almost sounds like it's a crypto mining hedge fund or something.
Yeah.
And you like head it up, you decide the direction of the ship, you send little investor emails and stuff. Is that kind of analogous?
Yeah, that's basically what it is. Because I write a newsletter to all the clients. If you host with me, you get my newsletter, and I basically in my newsletter I just tell people what I'm doing, and I tell them the risk. But like I don't know what's going to happen, but I think this is a really good upside. I'm doing it with all my rigs personally. If you want to be safe, you can have the rigs, mine and just pay out in Bitcoin, pay out in Ethereum. Either of those, I think is great. Do whatever you want to do, and then they're like, I want to do whatever you're doing, and so. Okay.
How do you think? Okay, so this person who owns a car wash, they're at some dinner party with their friends or something, and they start talking about this thing they're doing, and they're talking about you. How do you think that they describe it? Like, I've got this crypto guru, or like, how do you?
Yeah, I think I don't know. They probably say something like that. Yeah, I know this guy. He knows he knows his stuff. He knows exactly what he's doing. You gotta get, and that's how a lot of my clients came to as referrals. It's like the lawyer. It's like it was the one dude. And the car wash guy's like, oh, my lawyer, he's going to be interested in this. And so then we sold him 5 rigs. And then the lawyer knew like, oh, this guy that runs a winery out here, he's interested. So we were actually going to think about putting rigs at the winery because he had like a megawatt out there, but the power grid out there wasn't stable. Like it was like, they had power outages every day because it's a really small town. But yeah, it was really cool. I always look to integrate the rigs at people's businesses. Because I want like, oh, look, you can put it here. You can write off the electricity because it's out of your business. And, but I'm, because at the time we also didn't have a building. We're still looking for something. But yeah, I think they all talked about me pretty highly. They still call me and text me with like, hey, what do you think about this? A lot of them ask me like, oh, what do you think about XRP? What do you think about Solana? All this stuff. And I'm like a hardcore like Bitcoin guy, and I'm pretty against some of those stuff, but it's like I really try to be unbiased as best I can. I'm like, yeah, Solana, I think it's gonna perform really well. I really do think it's gonna perform well. I don't personally hold any though, but XRP, I'm like, I don't know on that one. I think it's pretty good, but I personally don't hold it. I always tell people like, I personally don't hold any. I'm holding this and this, but I don't think you can go wrong with it. Just diversify, do your own research. I always tell people I'm just a kid. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing this. So
everyone has they hear something and they go, oh, this seems like a good opportunity, and then they want to go to the person they know who is the most of an expert in their world for that thing, and then they want that thing that they're asking about to be validated.
Yeah.
And it's a weird place to be because I get that question a lot about things. I'm like, I wouldn't put I don't want to own any of it, but it'll probably do well, or it might do well,
Yeah, exactly. It's like, just because I don't own any, there's too many things to own, and I don't like to diversify that much. So I think a lot of things are going to do good. Just because I don't own it doesn't mean it's not going to do good. But I always steer people away from the meme coins though, because that's like in 2021 that was the thing. What do you think about Shiba Inu? Don't buy it. That's what I told everybody. But it pumped up crazy, and memes are like crazy now. So I just tell people, it's like gambling. It's like, you know what I mean? You might make a lot of money with it, you might not, but invest accordingly, you know?
Yep. I've gone pretty hard into one single meme coin, and I've only ever dabbled in all the others, but my general like take of it is it's exciting and it's fun, and you get to see all those like, crazy stories, but those crazy stories are like 1% of 1% of what
Yeah.
actually happens, and most people get wrecked through
Yeah,
memes.
yeah, exactly. Most people do. You can make money with it. You never make a lot of money because by the time unless you're like really diving in, by the time you hear about it, you're not going to make the 1000% gain. You're going to make, you can make a 10-20% or 10 to 20x if you're lucky. I caught Pepe. I made like a 5x on that and I sold it. But it's like that's a 5x. You know, it's crypto, right? 5x. People are like, oh, I didn't put that much money in, so it was just cool. It was exciting and fun. I risked it and I paid off. But by the time most people, because a lot of the guys a lot of my clients, they don't do anything on exchanges. They don't, they're using Coinbase.
Yep.
And so they see something hit Coinbase. I'm like, by the time you see it, it's too late. You got to be going on here. Yeah, so a lot of them don't know anything. I had to teach them how to wallets and seed phrases. You know what I mean? So I have to walk them through that stuff because they're all brand new, so they didn't know. So I was always hooking them up with.
You're doing the actual good work out there. You're actually onboarding people who would otherwise have not been in the crypto space. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, and it's funny what you just said about Pepe only a 5x. It's like that's crypto. Like people ask me when I do a live stream or something like, what do you think about this one? It's like a top 10 crypto, and I'm like, I mean, it would have been great when it was a top 3 or 500 crypto, and you get it and you ride it all the way up to a top 10. But am I really interested in a 5x? Generally not really, because there's 100 or 1000 x's out there. Yeah,
exactly. There's a lot of opportunity out there, and it's just like if it's in like the top whatever, it's like not really. I want something a little better. But yeah, because there's lots of, because I've been in it long enough to know that's like there's a lot of good opportunities out there.
Yeah, with the exception of Bitcoin, because I want if my entire portfolio goes to 0, I've got Bitcoin.
Yeah,
but everything else in my portfolio, I want that to not be a 5x. I want that to be a 1000x, and then get more Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. I hold a lot of Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin. Bitcoin's more than 50% of everything that I hold. And it's through when I started, I was selling everything I owned. I was 100% Bitcoin till 2021. And then I slowly started getting into other stuff. And that's when I realized that's why I'm doing differently this time around, is because I missed out on all the big jumps because I had Bitcoin. I didn't even have Ethereum. And Ethereum performed really well in 2021. And so that's when I was like, all right, I kind of want to buy some of these other stuff. It's not Bitcoin, but yeah, exactly what you said. It's like I can make a lot of money and then that's more Bitcoin. So that's the whole goal is to get more Bitcoin.
Yep. Never enough Bitcoin. So I'm curious. So if Bitcoin is your number one, what does your top 5 in your portfolio look like? What are the other positions you're holding?
So I'm not speculating whole lot. I actually only own like 5 cryptos. So like this is going to be like my entire portfolio.
This is rare for a miner. Most miners in like 70 things.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people are spec mining on a lot of stuff, but most of it goes to 0 or doesn't recover or makes very little. And so there's a couple that I've missed out on. The second biggest holding is Caspa. It's quite a bit. It's like 30%. And then I hold a little bit of a lithium. I mined that back. Didn't catch it as early as Caspa, but mined a lot of lithium. And then I own some Neoxa and some blocks or Block X, whatever you want to call it. And then that's pretty much it. And then I own, like, if you want to go below the 1%, I probably own like 3 or 4 more, like Ironfish and Ergo and, a couple other mineable tokens or coins, but that's really it. So
is that because, you're just not doing a lot of speculating, or is that because as you mine, you're just kind of immediately cashing out to Bitcoin or the things you really truly care about?
Yeah, so it's kind of like it's as my business grows and gets bigger, I have a lot of stuff I'm doing, and I just don't have time to research into these projects because there's a lot of there's probably a lot of missed opportunities I'm missing out on, but I don't got time for it. So usually what I'll do is if I mine something new, I'll mine a certain percentage of it that I want to hold, and then after that, I just sell it daily. So I'd sell it into USDT, and then because I got to pay my bills and stuff, everything. So I put in USDT, and then after all my bills are paid, I'm done that, and then I put the rest into Bitcoin or Casper or whatever I want.
And of when you're mining something like that, and you're doing a daily sale of the percentage or whatever that you don't daily sell that you are holding, how do you know, like your Caspa, for example, how do you know when to sell it?
I'm really bad at that. I just, when it crashes 50%, that's when you sell. No, I did all my research in that one pretty heavily. I really liked that one. I wanted to hold it for the long term. I did sell, but I wasn't sure. I mined an insane amount of it. And so when it ran up from like a cent to 5 cents, it was crazy. And then it crashed down to like 2 cents or something like that. I decided to sell half of it because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And so I wanted to lock in those profits and just let the rest ride. And I wish I would have kept it, but at the same time, it was like, that's like the smart decision to do, sell half. Cause now it's like, yeah, but the amount that I sold was like, it would take forever to mine that back. Because it was like a 400,000 Caspa or something like that. It was crazy amount. But I sold it at like 2 cents. So it wasn't like it was worth a lot of money, but kept the other half.
I did a very similar thing. I found Caspa 3 months after it was announced, mined it on GPUs, and then like it took a long time to hit its first exchange.
Yo, it did, yeah.
So like 4 or 6 months later, when it finally hit its first exchange, I threw like $1,000 or $2,000 at it. So I had like 1.2 million Caspa, 1.3 million Caspa. And then between 2 cents and 5 cents, I sold half.
Yeah.
And so I still have my other half, and I have mine actually consider, a couple 100,000 plus from mining, because I have been mining it for a while.
Yeah.
But on one hand, I was up because we started from zero.
Yeah,
exactly. We mined it. It was just
Yeah.
the power cost. So we're up like 6,000, 10,000%, even at those early stages.
Mm-hmm.
So on one hand, I'm like, hell yeah, I won.
Exactly.
But on the other hand, it's like when it goes to 19 cents, you're like, shit.
Yeah,
whoops.
exactly. Yeah, but there's no way to know, because it's like you don't know if this is going to take off or not.
Yep.
Like even if there's tons of good projects that never take off,
Yes.
So
most don't.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like it's the bad fundamentals or anything like that. It's just you just don't know. And yeah, it was when it went to like 5 cents, it was a lot of money. It's like, okay, I got to cash this. I got to lock these in just in case. So yeah, it was a smart decision to do. But yeah, I was like, dang it, why wouldn't I just hold it to zero? Because then if it went to zero, I'd have been like, why didn't I sell it? So
yes.
So yeah, it's good to just do the 50-50. But yeah, that's kind of what I do. I hold it. I usually point all my rigs at it. So like for example, like lithium, all my rigs were mining lithium. I mined, and then I would mine it for like 2 weeks, and just keep everything. And then after I hit a certain target, I want to hit this much. And then once I hit it, then okay, now I'm just going to sell it. And then, into, a USDT and pay my bills and stuff like that. And then the rest, then I could buy more of it with it, or I could, so I mean, I divide half the rigs. If I want to keep stacking, then I'll do more. But yeah, that's kind of what.
Yeah. And also any critiques of like, selling, I've gotten plenty of critiques for selling my Caspa early and stuff. It's like the only reason you can make a critique like that is because of the benefit of hindsight.
Yeah.
Like, nobody actually knows. If you're like, look who's behind it, look at the fundamental, look at, whatever, it's going to be $5. It's like, you're guessing.
Yeah.
There's no way to know that future. And we may never actually get there. Hope we do.
Yeah.
Because it would be awesome. But the only reason you can actually look back and go, that was a shitty decision in hindsight, is because of hindsight.
Yeah, exactly. And there was like a legitimate concern, because at the time it was switching to ASICs, and we didn't know if the ASICs were going to just sell it into the ground.
And that is why I sold.
Exactly. That's exactly why I did too.
I've seen this story before. Cadena, other things. I've watched the ASICs come online and it just dumps.
It destroys it. And so
the opposite happened.
That was the whole reason. Because if it was GPU only, I might have still sold some, but I wouldn't have sold as much. But the ASICs, that is a huge concern, and I'm really glad that Caspa has overcome that. So,
but that was so surprising, because I was convinced once the ASICs come online, we're going to watch this thing depreciate in price, and then I'll buy my bag back. Once it dips down below a cent again.
Yeah.
But why do you think that never happened? Why do you think it's only gone basically up?
I think because the people that are buying the Caspa ASICs want to hold the Caspa. Yes. Some people, because they're not like large scale, you got these big farms, they all buy Bitcoin miners and stuff, and they usually don't dabble in a couple, brand new coins that are really small.
Yep.
So I feel like there's some people and they do sell for their cost, but a lot of people, like me, for example, I would sell, I would pay for my power out of pocket to stack up the coin.
What I do, yeah.
Because when you pay for the power, that's a tax write-off, right? So there's a lot of advantages. So I think that's how Caspa overcame. I think there's way more people that wanted to hold it than to sell it, and that's really good. So
it's got a really zealous, passionate user base.
Yeah, it's got like a cult following, I call it. But and that's okay. That happens to I liked it back when it was GPU only. It's pretty sweet, but it's crazy to see how big the community has grown now. It's awesome. I think that's the first coin that I was in really early that's grown up, that grew really big.
Yeah, it was a good learning lesson because I now see the power of like a community like that.
Yeah,
because obviously most people have held on to it because it's done very, very well. So okay, that was your top positions, your portfolio. But what are you mining right now?
So right now I'm currently mining ironfish. I'm dual mining ironfish and pyron. And the reason I like to choose something that's really stable, like in price. I don't want something that's going to fluctuate up and down. I've been mining like that for like the past 2 months, I want to say. It's been the profit's been, it's not like the most profitable thing, but it's like right there. And for me and at my building anyway. So I mined a bunch of ironfish, kept a bunch of it, and now I sell whatever. So I have a bag of it.
Ironfish was really depressed in price for a while, and then I feel like in the past 6 months it shot up.
Yeah, it shot up crazy. They changed algorithms.
Okay.
So they switched to fish hash, which I think is really bullish. And that's why I decided to keep it, because some coins I don't keep at all. So I like ironfish. That's why I can mine a bag of it, because I believe that it has potential to go up, and so kept a small percentage.
So you've basically said you don't do a ton of like the ultra speculative, like get it early because there's just too many moving pieces, too much to pay attention to. But you have done that.
Yes, I have done that. Like back when I had more time, but now it's like right now I'm just like I'm so busy and all this stuff. I just like I want to get back into it. If once I get build a team and have like some more staff that can handle a lot of the maintenance stuff, then I'll get back into that. I can throw a bunch of my rigs on all these spec coins, and that's what makes mining really fun, I think.
Yeah. So when you were doing it before, and then when you're going to do more of that again in the future, how are you finding out about those early things? Like, how do you go about actually catching them? Because that's the hard part.
Yeah, it's hard. What I like to do, you can go on like sites like hashrate.no, and you can see which things there's coins on there I've never even heard of. And so then I can do some little research on that. You can go on like the Bitcoin Talk forums and stuff. People post their projects. There's a lot of different ways. A lot of YouTubers post stuff earlier. They have like their private whatever Discords or whatever, and they're like, oh, I found this, and I'm like, so there's ways to find small stuff, but yeah, most of it is just speculating, but some of them do take off and you can get in really early. So that's what's fun about it.
Yeah, I posted Caspa to my private Discord community after I found it on Bitcoin Talk, altcoin announcement forum, and lots of people made a lot of money with that, did really well. But the downside to that approach of like scouring the forums and stuff is most of it is junk. A lot of it scams. So when you are speculating, the way I view this world is like I'm a poor man's venture capitalist. Yeah, I'm going to throw a hash rate or a few bucks at a bunch of different stuff. And then I hope that one or two are unicorns. Is that how you approach it?
Yeah, I haven't done like a whole lot of like super small stuff. Usually I wait until it's a little bit bigger. So I'm like, on Caspa, I got in, it was just below a cent. It was like 0.008. So it was like just below a cent. That's when I started getting into it. So I heard about it way sooner than that, but I didn't put any spec rigs on it. I wish that I would have thrown like one, because I have a lot. And so for me, I like to throw all of them at the same thing. But what I want to do is just have, a couple of rigs that because if I would have mined Caspa with like a single rig back then, I would have made, a crazy amount. So, yeah, that's what.
So from when you first heard about Caspa to when you actually started mining it, because there was that period, what changed on that timeline to make you go, I should now mine this?
So it was profitable. So that's what happened, because
money talks.
Yeah, it was just below a cent, and it was profitable mine, and it's a really good algorithm. The GPUs really like it. Was low power. I could dual mine Casper with other things, and also puts out less heat. So I really like the algorithm, and I liked the coin, and so I was like, I'm gonna mine the crap out of this.
Yeah, I talked to one of the guys behind Caspa, Shy,
Uh-huh.
on the podcast yesterday, and he said something that I hadn't actually considered, because a lot of people, a lot of GPU miners, some of us are anti ASIC or don't love ASICs, and we like ASIC resistant algorithm stuff. But he said they made Caspa choose an algorithm that was really ASIC friendly, because that also makes it really GPU friendly. Like you just said, it was low power, it's low heat, whereas like kapow,
Yeah.
it's like it turns your rig into a space heater.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, two sides to that, and you got to balance it, I guess. But on one hand, it's like the ASIC friendliness is actually beneficial as long as there aren't ASICs yet on the network. But then, once they are, then there's that, which is
yeah, it's hard. I that makes sense. Yeah, that's kind of rough. It's like hard to solve that, because it's hard to get a coin to go from a fair launch and no marketing, stuff like that. It's really hard to get something like that to explode, and so they've done really, really good. So I mean, I'm not a fan of ASICs, but I like Caspa, so I like Bitcoin too.
So that leads into my next question, which, given that we spent most of this time talking about GPU mining and stuff, I can guess your answer, but I like to ask people who are mining quite a bit this question: is GPU mining dead, or is it dying over for the next couple of years?
My answer to that question is always no. I haven't stopped mining, so it's not dead. I like to say, like, when people say GPU mining is dead, that implies that it's never coming back. So I don't think so. It really depends on your power. Like, might not be profitable for you, but it is profitable. For if your power rate is right, it is profitable right now. It's not making very much, but you get coins like Caspa, like, it wasn't super profitable then, and then all of a sudden it was. If you would have mined it, then you would have made a lot of money. And I had clients that like ROI'd on their machines from Caspa. So
so are you expecting 2021? Good luck getting a GPU. You're going to pay like 2, 3, 5x MSRP. Do you see that happening again?
This time is a little bit different because Ethereum is not there, right? So since Ethereum switched, there's no one coin, because that's what's going to happen. I do think that it will be profitable again. So like, a 3070 rig, 8-card rig was making $1,000 a month on Ethereum. And I think maybe this time around we'll see, it's going to be making $400 or $500, which is still quite a bit. And so I don't think we'll see a 3070 go for $1,000. I think we'll see it go for 500 or 500-ish bucks, which is retail back then, but they're older cards now. So I think that we'll see that. I think we'll see double retail for sure. It depends on the supply too. There was a lot of stuff happening with 2021, the supply chain and all the COVID stuff. So I think that played a factor into the cards being 3-4x the MSRP. But I think that GPUs will be worth more. For some reason, 580s will be going for more than $100 again. I don't know why. People love those cards.
What's a 3070 cost right now?
On eBay used, you can get them for around $300. Somewhere between $250 and $350, depending what card you want.
So you think they could potentially, as the next altcoin season, everything blows up and mining rigs are profitable, very profitable again, a 2x conservatively.
Yeah, I think like $500 a card. Like, I think people will pay that. So
I love the idea of hardware arbitrage. We did talk about that briefly last night. I talked to lots of other miners about it. So is that part of your strategy, like buy it cheap, sell it when it's not cheap?
Yeah, so I like to upgrade my card. So what I plan on doing this time around is mining through the cycle, and then when I think cards are coming down, so like from 500 down to now they're at 450, that's when I'll sell my cards. I'll catch it on the down half of it, and then I'll wait and I'll buy a bulk of the next gen, probably the 50 series, because that's when I want to upgrade my hardware. So that's what I did last time. I started on 1070s and the 580s. I mined on all those, and then yeah, I cycled them out and bought 3070s this time. So that I'm looking to do that again. It really depends on the numbers and how much the cards make, but that would be the goal. I think because it's really about increasing the efficiency, right? Because this can do double the hash rate at the same power. Well, that's kind of essential if you're going to stay in this business. You got to increase the efficiency as the years go by.
So here at the very end of the podcast, we might have somebody who's been listening and they're like, I like that Django guy.
Yeah.
He's saying words I like to hear. I want to do this stuff. And maybe this is somebody who hasn't yet dabbled into the world of mining, GPU mining specifically, or maybe they just barely touched on it. Like, what would you like to leave with those people at this stage in the market?
I think right now, really good time to get in because we're pre-bull. I do think that things are going to go really well. And so right now is the best time to get it because prices are still cheap. You're going to see prices go up. I would just start small. I started small, 1 rig at a time. So just, buy a couple GPUs, if you're just getting into it, just buy a single GPU and mine on it. It's not that big of an investment. You're going to spend for the whole setup, you're going to spend like $800 for like a motherboard, a power supply, a GPU. Just see how it works. You can do lots of research, watch lots of YouTube videos. And you can, I think it's worth getting into, especially if you own a business. That's because you can write all the stuff off. So if you own a business, it's like a no-brainer. But yeah, if you want to just do it at home, I would do it too. So
yeah, and you never know what's going to happen. It's like mining has changed my life. It sounds like it's changed your life, and maybe it'll change your life too. But you won't know unless you try. And yeah. At the end of the day, it's like, well, if you fail and you start with like a small card or something, well, congrats, you have a gaming computer.
Yeah,
now.
Exactly. You could just resell. I mean, it's not that hard because 3070s have fluctuated a lot in price, but they're still a good price. Like, what's the worst that happen? You buy it for 300, a year from now you sell it for 200. Well, big whoop. You're actually not out that much money, and you probably will make that difference back from what you mined, honestly. So I feel like it's very little risk. That's why I got into it, because you can always sell the hardware.
I love it. Okay, well, Django, this was super fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And thank you for listening. There will be links to all of his stuff down in the description, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.